Oh, welcome back, boys, to a very special video. I am very happy today. It's finally happened, you know. Everyone trash talk. Well, not everyone. A lot of people trash talked me, said Hwayoung was fine, said nerfs aren't needed, blah, blah, blah. But here we go. Smilegate finally caves and they realize this hero is total horseshit. So here we go. It's happening. And thank you to whoever commented on my Hwayoung review and tipped me off that this was happening, because I had no idea until then. But Hwayoung balance adjustment preview. So I don't actually know what her nerf is specifically, but I know she's nerfed. And before we start, I just want to go into this. She's not the only unit that needs a nerf, but a lot of people said Hwayoung was fine, and all of them were wrong. She was not fine. She was honestly the most broken hero in the game, in my opinion, with YAYAYYA a close second. So I as much as I use YAYAYYA, I rely on her for everything. That means she's a problem. So I do understand that some people didn't want Hwayoung to be nerfed because she was a viable answer to YAYAYYA, and YAYAYYA's pretty toxic. I get that. So if, you know, YAYAYYA's nerfed next, I have no problem with it, because that's the only defensible argument for Hwayoung that existed, that she was a counter to another hopelessly busted unit. But nonetheless, I hate this unit. She was good at everything. She was easy to build. So let's see. Pre-announcement. So it's going to happen October 27th. So you guys still get to abuse her for about, what is today? September? Like a month. Sincerely apologize for the disruption. You don't have to apologize. Thank you. We thank you, or I thank you. And guide you through the process of how we came to this balance adjustment, blah, blah, blah. Epic 7's balance adjustment system is focused on improving heroes rather than diminishing them to retain the value of the... So they have been consistent in this approach, right? They outright said it. They said they don't want to nerf heroes. They won't nerf heroes. They'll balance heroes essentially by releasing new heroes that keep countering them, kind of like AOL and C. Lilius. They just want to keep releasing heroes that counter them until their pick rate is in line. And honestly, that strategy has been working in terms of pick rates, but I don't know if that makes them balanced, right? Just releasing stuff that counters them. I never really agreed with that approach, because I felt like their system just meant that if they're picked less, it's working, and I think there's more depth to it than that. But anyways, when a hero has too much influence, our response has been to make changes by buffing other heroes via periodic balance adjustments. Yep. However, although we at Epic 7 have tried several different approaches, it has become evident that 5-star Covenant overbearing influence has been difficult to suppress. So that's hilarious. So what are they effectively saying here? They're saying we were fixing balance issues by buffing and releasing new heroes, but Hwayoung was so busted that they couldn't really do it that way. So that's really, I mean, like, you could think like certain things like shoe buffs and stuff like that was all, you know, meant to kind of deal with Hwayoung, right? But, you know, release of Yulha, which did nothing outside of Guild Wars, because in RTA they'll just ignore the Yulha. But yeah, so that's the rationale. There's been a significant decrease in the usage of other attack-based heroes. I don't know if that's true. I don't... Like, attack-based? What does that mean? Like, she doesn't really... I don't get that line. This shift in hero usage in turn has caused many difficulties, as blah, blah, blah. While we sought to reduce her impact in the current meta, we concluded that it was necessary. So finally, they listened. They have caved in. They say, okay, you know what? A nerf is just the best thing. Instead of going through, you know, dozens of rounds of balance buffs and changing dozens of other heroes to try and get her in line. Let's just deal with the problem directly, which is the most direct way of dealing with the issue, which makes a lot of sense, right? So with a heavy heart, not for me, I have a very light heart right now, we regret to inform you that 5-star Covenant will be going through a balance, Hwayoung will be going through a balance adjustment. Let us see what they did. All right. Supersonic kick. Well, we all know what it already does, so... Okay, so... she's not as strong against evasion here. I mean, this is good, right? So I don't really care if they get rid of... I mean, this was pretty toxic with dual attacks, especially when she cut you and randomly... Well, not randomly, but it let her cut you in S3 or something. But honestly, I would have been okay with the 15% CR push staying. This is a huge thing, though, because why was Hwayoung broken? It's because, like, she didn't even need to hit stuff, right? So evasion here, like Rylet. Would you ever pick Rylet or Violet against a Hwayoung? No, because even if she misses, I mean, she basically had a 100% hit chance against everything because she did so much damage that anything that actually has evasion gets one-shotted anyway, right? Although they... So I guess they increased the damage that the attack deals, but lowered the additional damage, and that makes sense again. So basically, if it lands, I'm assuming that it'll do the same amount of damage as it did before, but if it misses, because a lot of that damage isn't coming from the additional tick anymore, it'll hit a lot less. Now, Uberius Tooth still exists, so it's still going to hit pretty hard, so she's still going to be pretty solid against evasion heroes, in my opinion, unless it's like a huge difference. But, yeah, I agree with that. They probably could have let her keep this, and that's fine, but okay. Okay, just a flat nerf to her damage. So instead of 50%, usually when they do stuff like that, they'll still actually increase the damage dealt other places. So I think this actually makes a lot of sense to me, because you know what? A lot of you guys pointed this out, and you're right. You're right about this. A big part of why Hwayoung is broken is not just Hwayoung, it's the way Uberius Tooth works. So I'm guessing they're going to keep her overall damage pretty similar or the same, but they want Uberius Tooth to stop doing so much goddamn damage, and how do you do that? By reducing the attack. So I think this is a great change. I agree with this completely. You know, because they can't do some wonky change, like say Hwayoung can't equip Uberius Tooth, because that'd just be stupid. So I think this is a good way around it, just reducing the amount of damage that Uberius Tooth can do by, you know, just toning down her attack value a little bit, because you know what? When you have a Hwayoung with attack buff, that's like over 10k attack and a Uberius Tooth. Like you guys have seen. Like my Hwayoung, I remember I hit Death Broken A Ravi for like 24k on an S1. Like that's just stupid, guys. That's stupid. Okay, and I guess even the S3 is changing, so... When the target's max health is greater than the... Okay, penetrates the target's defense with penetration... Wait, so it used to be the damage difference, right? Oh, so it always penetrated 100. So now they're getting rid of the 100% death pen, and they're changing it based on the HP difference. Damage dealt increased and required max health difference amount increased. And +1 turn cooldown. Well, these are massive, massive nerfs, actually. Okay, so I agree with this too. I don't know if so much I agree with this. I mean, the turn cooldown was really short, especially if she had the capacity to soul burn it. But I think I would have forgiven him if they didn't do this. But I agree with the logic of this, because this is the other problem with Hwayoung, because I think if Hwayoung just stuck to her intended role, her original design role, people, or at least me, wouldn't have been so pissed about her. And I'll always have a soft spot of hatred for Hwayoung, because the season she came out, I remember she came out like near the end of the season, and I just could not figure out how to deal with her, and she like got me dunked out of Legend very quickly, because I was on like the last like day or something. But well, like the problem with Hwayoung is that her stated purpose was she's gonna be a hero that counters high HP units, and she delivers like a wombo combo to them and one-shots them. And in theory, that by itself is okay if that was just her role. But what was the problem with Hwayoung? It wasn't that she could one-shot a Ravi. It was that she literally one-shotted everything else in the game. It was weird, right? Because if you had over 20k HP, the way the scaling works, you died. But then if you had like 10k HP, like you would think like, oh, okay, so we don't have that much of an HP difference, so this thing won't do that much damage, right? But no, because of Uberius Tooth and the fact that this thing still hit hard anyway, if you had 10k HP or less, you died again anyway. So it became the situation where her condition didn't matter. If you have a lot of HP, you're dead. If you have too little HP, you're dead. So what's the right amount of HP? Nothing. You're just dead. As long as you have attack buff. And, you know, obviously you could survive. Like if you had like Aureus and some mitigation, you survive. But the thing is, it was just too easy to use this hero and just one-tap everything. So what they're doing is, I'm going to guess that in the ideal situation, like a 25k HP knight against a 12k HP Hwayoung, you're going to get one-shotted anyway. I'm assuming that they're keeping the damage in that sense the same. But I'm guessing that the damage is going to go way down if that HP difference is small. Because another problem was people were starting to build like 15, 16,000 HP Hwayoungs. I started running into these in RTA, or my OpSig couldn't one-shot them with their Hwayoung's built-in critical hit damage thing. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, oh, this Hwayoung has a lot of HP. At least it won't hit hard. And then bam, they like one-shot my freaking like A-Ros or something. I'm like, what the hell? This thing is 16k HP and still one-shots my knights. So yeah, I think they're going to start incentivizing people to, you know, if they want the damage, you're going to have a less tanky Hwayoung now, which I think is also good. There needs to be sacrifices. That's the problem with Hwayoung. It was like a no sacrifice hero. You could build her fast, tanky, and she one-shots everything. Not too hard to build. The hardest thing about Hwayoung to build is that a lot of people don't keep the gear pieces that she needs the most, because she doesn't need crit damage or crit chance. Other than that, she's overall an easier unit to build. And yeah, looks like now you're going to need to have a decent HP difference for her to get that 100% penetration while retaining her ability to do big damage to high HP bruiser heroes, which I think is fine because we don't want to neuter her so bad that she's completely useless, right? So hopefully with these changes, you know, if they have no mitigation and you have an attack buff Hwayoung or something, I'm assuming she'll still be able to kill like something like an Alencia in one hit, assuming she has attack buff. And I think if she could, that's okay. Like if a 13k HP Hwayoung can one-shot a 25k HP Alencia with attack buff, I don't think that's broken. I'm okay with that. But I don't think she should one-shot literally, like, if it's like a 14k HP DPS Rimuru, I don't really understand why Hwayoung would one-shot that too. Or one-shot an 8k HP Violet. Or a 16k HP Violet on a miss. Like, none of that ever made any sense to me. So I think all of these nerfs make a lot of sense. If anything, they might have overdone it a little bit. Like, I think they didn't need to increase the turn cooldown on the S3. And I mean, I'm okay with them getting rid of it, but I don't think they needed to get rid of this. But this I agree with completely, because I think they really needed to tone that. If anything, they could have gotten rid of all of this completely. And like just gotten rid of her attack buff completely, because then that gets rid of the, or not gets rid of, but mitigates a lot of the problem with Uberius Tooth. And then, you know, basically just toned up the multipliers on her S1 and S3 to do the same amount of damage without having, while mitigating that Uberius Tooth toxicity. So overall, I am very happy. I know a lot of people are probably upset, people who are, you know, using Hwayoung a lot. I pre-banned her almost 100% of the time, so I barely saw her anyway, but I'm glad that I can switch that up now. And to be clear, I think she's still going to be usable, at least in my opinion. I know some people are probably going to be like, Hwayoung's completely useless now. I tend to not agree with that. I mean, she's still a very tanky unit that does a lot of damage and, I don't know, cycles relatively quickly for a DPS. I mean, a lot of people have her built like 240, 250, which is pretty fast, considering she has like a built-in proof and stuff like that. And, you know, she's still going to be pretty solid against evasion units, I think. Like, yeah, her S1, this thing won't work, but Uberius Tooth, as far as I know, will still work. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I like it. I like it. All right, so let's see if there's anything important that we missed here. Her fast turn cycling. Yeah, I mean, that was true. I mean, I guess I do agree with that. Like in Guild, I've lost a lot of Guild Wars in the past to this because of dual attacks and just turn cycles into Rest really fast. I don't think they had to do both, though. I think they could have either gotten rid of the turn cooldown or gotten rid of the 15% CR push. I don't really think they needed to do both, but hey, I hate this hero, so fine, I'll take it. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, so they specifically call out evasion heroes. So hit condition. And yeah, so they're not trying to reduce the overall damage against everyone else, right? So they're increasing the basic skills damage dealt. So yeah, it looks like they're trying to keep the damage the same except against, you know, low HP heroes. Blah, blah, blah. I'm curious to see what the damage, the HP differential has to be, because they said that they changed it. But so they didn't clearly say. So it would have been better if they said like Hwayoung will do the same amount of damage to heroes with much higher max health, but the damage against those that do not have much of a difference in health will be reduced significantly. That would have been clear, because it's not clear to me whether she'll still do less damage against high HP heroes. Blah, blah, blah. All right, and obviously, so okay. I think, you know, as much as I love this and want Hwayoung to be nerfed, I do feel that people who invest, because I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to recall my Hwayoung. I think she's still usable. But for people who are really salty about it, they need to do this, right? And I always said that. If you nerf a hero, let them recall it for a selector. And it looks, I'm assuming that's what they're doing here. So yeah, no limiteds. That's normal. Blah, blah, blah. That's fine. That's normal. Well, Mana Slate? Why don't they just give you an unknown slate? What's the difference? Oh, it can't be used on ML heroes? Okay. Interesting. And I'm assuming you could talk to support or whatever to get heroes back for those slates if you wanted. Choose if the heroes in your hero storage. Okay, so important note, guys. They're saying that to recall it, it needs to be in your hero inventory. So if it's in your storage, make sure you move her out before 1027. So if you have her in storage now, take her out now so you don't forget. And you can only recall it once. So if you want to get a bunch of free slates, imprint her and then keep her in your hero inventory and wait for that recall. And yep, contact customer service. And if you want to receive them back as unknown slates, you can ask for the unknown slates back. Okay, good. Because it looks like the mana slates are crappy versions of unknown slates, because unknown slates you can use on anything, limiteds, MLs, etc. And I think that's it. All right, so you know, I'll probably get some heat from some of you guys yelling at me saying she was fine, and she was not fine. I don't care what anyone says. I've been, you know, playing this game for a long time. She was not fine. If you want to say that a Ravi is just as bad, I might be on board with you there, but in terms of everything else, she is one of the worst things to happen to Epic 7 as far as I'm concerned. There was a stretch where, you know, before she was buffed, where she was actually a viable first pick. That's a very good sign of when a DPS is too busted, which is why a Ravi fits this qualification perfectly fine as well. And back when I was really taking this game seriously, and I guess that was like season 5 or something, 4 or 5. Carrot. A lot of you guys may not remember Carrot, but Carrot was so busted at a point where she was a viable first pick and a very common first pick. If you follow my drafting theory video, I don't think that DPSs generally should be early picks. So if a DPS is a viable early pick, that usually means they're really, really busted. And I'm not saying that Hwayoung was a very common early pick nowadays, but, you know, a few weeks, months back, she was. And that was kind of toxic. Like, I think, without going into further details, if you see a DPS ever that's like a viable first pick, that usually means they're pretty busted, because it means you don't care that they're going to pick a bunch of, particularly if they're not MLs, right? Because it means they're so strong you barely even care about elemental advantage. So I think that's always a good sign that they're very busted. And I don't want to say it was common, particularly for me, because I was pre-banning her all the time. But even this season, I saw quite a few Hwayoung first picks when I didn't pre-ban her. So anyways, what do you guys think? Are you guys pissed? Are you guys happy? Clearly, I'm happy. I'm celebrating. And not just because Hwayoung got nerfed, but because Smilegate has finally broken their stupid precedent that they won't nerf stuff. I think this is very healthy for the game long term, that they're going to finally renege on this stupid crap where they say we're never going to nerf, we're just going to keep releasing more busted stuff until this busted thing feels less busted. I think that change in philosophy is the most important thing. So anyways, what do you guys think? Thanks for watching. Till next time, boys. Peace out.